Check.
Here.
Andrew Hutton. Scott Koppel.
Present.
Mary Newmar. Randy
I see.
Heflin.
Yeah, I see Mary there too. I don't know if she heard us.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
And Randy Heflin is here.
Tim Stoller.
Present.
Gary Tepper.
Here.
Brian Vella.
Here.
April Wade.
Here.
Eric Lansing. And Wyatt Tope.
And Brandy, I see we have Bob Bailey as well from the new Vin Hub as well. So just for a note.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So can you confirm we have a quorum? I think I counted enough, but
Yes, we have.
great. All right. Well, thank you and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. We have a fair amount of business on the agenda today that we will work through. We do not have a speaker because we do have a number of things to go through this morning, but hopefully we won't take the whole 2 hours and we can give everybody some time back. But as per our normal process, I did want to start with a safety message. Given the aftermath of Hurricane Helene and now Hurricane Milton heading towards, or Storm Milton heading towards Florida, I thought it was a good time to just everybody take a minute to think about kind of your own personal and family emergency preparedness in the event of things like power outages or other storm-related occurrences. So there's a lot of good resources in terms of your own personal and household preparedness, things like checking batteries, and if you have an external generator or a backup generator, make sure it's fueled. I saw a great tip, which was making a map of the floor plans in your house, so you know, and everyone in your house, in the event that you don't have power and you can't see terribly well, that you have something right in front of you to navigate through your own home. But there's a lot of good tips out there. So I would just say take a minute to review those, and also to put in a plug for the utilities. I know I did not check Appalachian Power's website. I did not have a chance this morning, but I'm sure it's there as well. But Dominion has some great resources on hurricane preparedness. They have a storm emergency checklist, which is very easy to download. So Eric, I give kudos to you and your team on a lot of the resources that are there online. So just something to take into account as we navigate through the fall and kind of the storm season. So any questions on safety message or additional comments? Okay. So like I said, we're going to go over some of the regular business, and then we do want to review the annual report. I know some comments have come back to Brandy. We'll have an update on the VinHub activities from Bob, and then we'll kind of go over where things stand with the strategic plan that VNEC is working on, the summit that was convened last month, and the process going forward for updating the strategic plan by the end of the year. This right now is scheduled to be our final meeting, and I don't anticipate we will need an additional meeting this year, but we will reserve that kind of right, if needed, to come back together. But I think for the strategic plan updates, there'll be the opportunity for this group to comment and provide feedback to VNEC, and we'll get to that. But as some of you probably have noticed, Ryan is not with us. Brandy is helping staff today. We appreciate her time from Virginia Energy. Ryan has moved into another role in government. I actually don't know what the role is. I tried to bug him, but he couldn't tell me quite yet. But please, if you get a chance, congratulate him on moving on to a new role within the Virginia government. And we think happy to have Randy. Oh, I see. Ryan just raised his hand, so he is actually here. Ryan, do you want to come off and say anything to the group?
Sure. It was a pleasure getting to work with you all for the 2 short years I was at Energy, but I've moved into a role within the governor's office as senior advisor for energy and economic policy now. So I will still be around, and a lot of you still have my phone number, so feel free to contact me if you need anything.
Good. Well, thanks for joining us, Ryan, and we appreciate all the support the past 2 years. And yes, we welcome Brandy back, even if it's in a temporary support role. But Brandy's a familiar face to everyone, or for a lot of us on the authority. So as we have questions or comments or input, please send that Brandy's way going forward until we have any other changes in terms of staffing the authority. So. All right. So if there's no other questions on kind of introduction, one just housekeeping note. If everyone could, I think we're doing a good job of that, could stay on mute when they're not speaking. We will have time for public comment at the end, as we always reserve. But that way we'll limit the feedback. And I don't mean constructive feedback, I just mean chatter on the line. So April, we will turn it over to you for kind of the VNEC briefing. And we will talk about kind of the strategic plan and some of those things as well, I believe, in this section. Is that correct, April, or do you want to hold that for later in the agenda? It's up to you.
We'll do everything at one time.
Great. Okay, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks.
Brandy, can you go to the next slide? So this was basically our kind of mission from the last strategic plan that we did. And so as you see, 2024 came to us pretty fast. It seems like I was just here talking to you all about the strategic plan in 2020, although we were in COVID at that time. It was nice to do this in person. So what we did on the 13th of September, we convened a summit. And Brandy, you go to the next page, where we had participants, as you can see on the list here, from the industry and from Virginia Department of Energy and Virginia Economic Development Partnership. We started off the day with Jason L. Kuby, the president of VDP. He gave a presentation on just the economic development activities around energy and what incentives the state can help with companies coming in with new opportunities. And also Glenn Davis gave a presentation on their program that they're working on right now as well. We ended having a really good conversations. The objective of the day were a few things. Understanding then the incentives that the state of Virginia has for business development and the Commonwealth, which that was part of the presentations by VDP and Virginia Energy. Review the current strategic plan, principles, objectives, strategies, and near-term objectives. Identify and update goals, objectives for the next 4 years. Identify steps to promote Virginia's unparalleled strength and advantages in nuclear energy and related to technologies. Brandy, if you go to the next slide. So what we did is we took the current strategic plan and we broke it down into several things and sent out a survey to everyone. And the topics including, these are topics from our strategic plan that we have right now. And so we broke out into groups to have these discussions. One of the things that in our discussions that we found is that the demand and the deployment is really important to us to be focused on. So Dominion supplied a slide, and Brandy, you can show that. This slide is really important, and it really states, I think, on how where we're at today and where we need to be in 2039. This is Dominion Zone. This is only Dominion Zone, but you can see where we're at in 2024. That is where it has taken us 100 years to get to with all power sources of energy. And the way the growth is going, where we need to be in 2039 with all sources of energy, including nuclear. So we saw this and we really said, okay, our focus is not only on clean energy, but also looking at where we're at for deployment and generation and how can we get there. Brandy, you can go to the next slide. So this is the outline of the strategic plan we're working on. We have a draft. The draft is still being worked on. But this is basically going to give you an overview of what we have. We have broken it down a little differently, but we are going to do a little bit more in explaining the challenges and the opportunities and the growth demand. And we're going to talk obviously about the capabilities we have. Virginia has a very, we're just in a unique position, more so than I think any other state, especially with what we have with, as I've mentioned before, with the ports and with our companies here in Virginia. We're going to update our guiding principles, but we're going to break it down into basically defense, our workforce, our education, our innovation, and also we're going to look at other aspects that we're doing here in Virginia, for instance, some of the space activities and nuclear medicine. We're not just focusing on energy. And then we'll look at our strategic goals. We had a great conversation. I was very impressed with the participation and the ideas that we received. Again, it was nice to meet in person. I know Tom and Scott were both there. Is there anything that I missed on that?
I don't
No,
think so. Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
No, Scott, you go ahead. You were.
No, I was just gonna say I don't think so. I think it was a really good session with diversity across, nuclear, from industry to the university folks. It was just a good group, and I think we're charging towards a decent product. No, it was a worthwhile trek for anyone who was able to attend and participate, I think, to kick things off and get people putting stuff on drafting, just really rough drafts on paper, but getting all the ideas out. So well done, April.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think most everyone that's on the authority and definitely all the VNEC members, there was very good representation from across, I would say, the spectrum of the industry, of academia and the various aspects here that are represented here. So it was a really good conversation. I think it will produce a very good product and hopefully a useful roadmap for the next 4 years. I think the thing that was most probably interesting or striking about the conversation, I think April and I, or Bob, I don't know, maybe you participated in the one in 2019 as well. The difference in the environment in which we're having the conversation. I think I asked April to get approval from Dominion, but to show the growth in demand slide that that Dominion shared during the session, because I think it shows a very different picture than when we were discussing and planning for the first iteration of the strategic plan, 4 years ago. So that was probably the most interesting part of the conversation, is just the context is quite different, which I think everybody here is well aware of. So that should provide a really good opportunity for this update. Any initial thoughts or comments from the authority members before we kind of get into what the next steps will be for us in terms of review.
One thing I do want to mention is, while everybody's thinking, is that, and Scott mentioned it, is I do think, of hearing other states come together and bring organizations, I just really appreciate the diversity of what we have with the universities, the utilities, with Huntington Ingalls, but also with the new companies that are out there, and Framatome and BWXT. But everybody coming from different angles, it really is a good conversation. I think some people are always amazed of how well we may not always agree, but we always come together. And it was really showed that day. It was really nice.
So, in terms of next steps, so as some who were on the authority in 2020 will remember, the authority this is a process that the management has been delegated to the VNEC board, but the authority does provide input and review. So the next step here will be April, like she said, VNEC is working on the draft of the updated strategic plan. April will work with Brandy to have the draft sent to us on the authority, and I ask that a lot of your organizations will also have other touch points, given the folks that were at the summit and are on VNEC or in other areas of participation, but we will want to provide feedback back to April directly on the draft, so that comments can be reconciled and additional input can be incorporated. And then I think, April, remind me, the plan is for having a document ready for the governor's office legislature prior to the next legislative session. Is that correct? So by the end of the year, is that correct?
Yeah, I'd like to have this done, completely done by early December if we can.
Great. So please be on the lookout for the draft and provide your feedback. I think for those of us that have kind of multiple inputs into VNEC through our organizations, it would probably be most helpful for April if we can work to consolidate those through comments back just from one point of contact within each organization. So I know that we'll be coordinating that, at least on the Framatome side, so that we're feeding that back in through one avenue. But be on the lookout for that. April, do you have a sense of when we may be kind of seeing that draft?
I'm going to be honest, I really need to get through this week. I'll talk about it, that we have another event this week that's pretty important that I need to get through. So probably the week of the 15th or the 14th.
Yeah, I was going to say I probably look for something in the latter half of October is probably is probably safe, but and then so we can get comments back and turned around, like you said, for kind of early December.
Yeah.
Scott, you had a question?
More of a comment, just of being part of called the first, the brainstorm session or whatever we were calling it. Just really would stress to folks, when you do get that draft, to really jump into it, and all of us, put on our Virginia hats and think about it. And otherwise it's going to be what we make of it. And I think we can have a really strong, good product here that's extremely unique, that no other state has. And, I think, again, we're putting on our Virginia hats, all of us, and why we're here. It can make it something really useful for the legislature and certainly the governor and his team to work from and hopefully towards. So, yeah, sorry, just wanted to make that point.
Yep.
Thank you.
Other comments on the outline or the next steps for the strategic plan?
And anybody has questions they think about later, please just email me or call me. I'd love to talk to anybody about it and get ideas.
Great. So before we move on to the rest of April's briefing, I wanted to thank Glenn and the Virginia Energy folks for participating in the summit. I think that provided some really helpful context. Glenn, at some point we'll have to show your your new kind of ad that Virginia Energy has drafted, which is great. And I also wanted to thank the VEDP team that joined us. Jason Alcubi did a really good presentation as well on kind of some of the economic development levers that the Commonwealth has to use for attracting and investing in growth in nuclear. And so I think at probably a meeting early next year, it will be helpful to have VEDP kind of update us and provide some of that information, because even as all of us as organizations that operate in Virginia, we may not be fully aware of all the tools that VEDP, the governor's office, and the legislature have to offer when it comes to economic development. So that was really, I think, really helpful, not only for folks already operating in Virginia, but it's really will be good as the state markets itself to companies looking to locate in Virginia and grow in the industry.
Hey, Tom, thank you. I will be sure and share that with Jason. Good feedback.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It is really great. So, Tim, it's good material. As we were saying, the biggest thing is now how do we make more people, even more people aware of all of it? So
Absolutely. Thanks.
Yeah. April, do you want to go on to the other events you have coming up?
Yeah, on Thursday, we're having our first ever Nuclear 101 event. This event is for legislators, staff, governor's office, and department staff, and economic development. And some community colleges we've reached out to. It's a small event, so I have limited space. This is our first time ever doing this, but we partnered up with Nuclear Innovation Alliance. I don't know, I think Patrick White has spoken to this group, I'm not sure, but um, they are just a great group. They're funded by philanthropy. Um, I'm really excited about partnering with them. Patrick's one of those I really enjoy. But it's one day event. It's going to be at VCU on Thursday. We are going to have about 50 attendees, which is about where I was hoping we would be at. So I'm pretty excited about that. And again, it's just a one day. We have several people from Virginia's industry speaking, although we also have people speaking from the Nuclear Energy Institute, Clear Path, Gain. So it's a well-rounded group. And it's just going to give a good 101 of the nuclear industry, what nuclear is, what our challenges are, what are the opportunities, what we're doing here in Virginia, and what our Virginia opportunities are. But since the legislature, we have 30% new members, we have been focusing a lot on education. That's what we did mostly during the last legislature. That's more likely what we'll be doing this session as well. Is just really focused on education on the industry. So that is our next big event. The other thing that we've been working on, and we'll have another meeting hopefully before the end of the year, is that industry has been meeting with community college leadership and talking to them about workforce issues and challenges that we have, and how to and looking at programs to help support what we need today and what we are going to need tomorrow for the industry regarding workforce. Bob Bailey and I, with Vin Hub, and Matt Kellum, with Virginia Energy Workforce Consortium, have been working together on this.
Great. Any questions on the Nuclear 101? Okay. April, can you also just give, I know it's not on the agenda, but can you provide a quick update on the kind of the community college event that was in Richmond and the kind of planned going forward? I think that'd be good for everyone here.
I had just mentioned it. It's that we met and we're going to do another meeting before the end of the year.
Sorry. I just
yeah.
meant the next, for the next meeting that's coming.
Yeah, yeah, we did one in Richmond with the community colleges, and we had a great conversation with Virginia companies and the community colleges. And again, it was just an overview of what we have. We talked about it was also partly giving a little small nuclear 101 to the community colleges, letting them know where we're at today, what our needs are today, and what we're going to be needing as an industry, and hearing from the community college. Any concerns that they have. The next meeting will be focusing more on hopefully um, getting more information on the programs at the community colleges, and also looking at other programs around the country that are success.
And if there are folks on the authority that want to kind of participate in the future or have any input, VNEC is managing this directly? Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm managing it, working with VinHub with Bob Bailey also to do, but right now I'm managing it. Yeah, but right now we know it's going to grow. We're just trying to start a base, and we do hope from these meetings to have is come up with an education plan that we can really look at the community K through 12, community college, and on to the 4 years. We really want to have a plan of what education needs we need met to support the industry. So we will be hopefully sometime next year. We'll be sharing an overview of what that plan is going to look like.
Okay. Any other questions or any other updates, April? Is that okay?
I think that's everything I got right now for y'all.
Any questions for April? Okay, Bob, let's turn it over to you for the VinHub updates.
Sure, and I'll be brief. I think it's probably just good to share. There's a couple of initiatives that the VinHub has now starting to get underway. One was the one that April just mentioned, that we are working with VNEC and with the Energy Workforce Consortium to build out a comprehensive workforce strategy. So what does it look like? What are we going to need? Building an educational pipeline is probably a big part of that, which is what April was just talking about. And included in that would be a strong K-12 outreach. So that's one thing that is on our agenda now. A second major one is under the umbrella of building out the research capacity for Virginia. The overwhelming consensus is the biggest thing that we could do is to get a research and test reactor, education reactor back in Virginia. That's a big, long-term ambitious project, but kicking off, things like the reactor design, where it would be, what are the operating parameters that we would have for it, how would we manage it? So getting that kicked off is something that we've got. And then a third initiative is taking a good look and doing an analysis of the supply chain in Virginia, both on the fuel side and the component side. Again, that could be a fairly big project, but we're kicking that off as well. So yeah, the research reactor under building capacity, work for a comprehensive workforce strategy, and looking at the supply chain are the three initial starting initiatives for the hub.
Great. Any questions for Bob on the VinHub? Okay. All right. So would like to move on to the annual report. I believe comments have been sent back. I know a few comments that already have been incorporated into the draft sent out on last week, that Brandy sent out last week. But I would like to solicit comments now if there's anything that folks have seen in the annual report that needs to be changed or updated. Brandy, I actually just caught one on the asset inventory. I forgot to send you the our new CEO, but that's a small change. But there are other things in the annual report that folks had to provide comments for. And for those new members of the authority, the annual report is really just, it's an inventory of kind of the activities of the authority, the folks that we heard from during our meetings, and the other updates. There does include kind of a VNEC update that April provides. And this is a accounting of the activities of the authority for the governor's office and the legislature. But are there any other comments or questions before we move to the next steps on the annual report?
Tom, do you want comments now? Because I have a comment
Yes, if
or
you have
an addition,
yes,
an
if you have,
ad, a
I
small
think,
ad.
yeah, if we have comments or changes, let's take those now, because what we will do is, if there are updates or changes, we will kind of vote on those now, and then I will ask for a resolution of approval once we have discussed any changes, so then we can have this ready for submittal later this month, if that makes sense to everyone. So yeah, Scott, if you've got something, please.
Yeah, just
fire away.
one relatively small ad word wise, but I think it's important. So I guess it's page 3, 2024 goals and activities, 4B at the end. So it reads support public policy. So B reads support public policy initiatives to enable investments needed to preserve existing and new nuclear assets. And then I would insert comma for both electricity and process heat, just to cover the gamut. So I think that's a simple way to do that. If someone has a better way to do it or a better way to insert that thought, go for it. But I think we need to make sure we're capturing both sides of the coin here.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, but open for discussion.
That was all I had.
Yeah, it sounds reasonable to me.
And there were a couple changes on page 4 that are there in track changes. I think those are just really just to update a couple of things. And then we have kind of accounting of the meetings and presentations that we received at our various meetings this year. We did complete, this is our 4th of the year, so that at least meets our mandate, I guess. So. And then under Appendix B, this is April provides kind of an update on VNEC's activities for the year, but that's not something we really, that's the VNEC board's contribution. We're not voting or changing that. So that'll be added in after the fact. Other comments, changes, questions on the report?
Tom, just one from me. I apologize. I didn't send any information in on our company for the private industry section, but would it be too late to do that for this report, or would that still be timely to add in?
Which
on the list of companies, we don't have Urenco listed.
Oh, on the asset.
Yeah,
inventory,
asset list.
excuse me.
Yes.
No, actually, Mary, that's a good point. That's something, please send that to Brandy, the information to put on there. That's something that's kind of a living list that we update anytime throughout the year. We usually spend or ask for any updates at every meeting. So yeah, if you've got an update or addition there, please send that to Brandy.
Okay, thank you.
And that was, I just sent her one on that as well. Okay. Any other changes or comments? Okay, not hearing any. would like to ask for a resolution to approve the changes and approve the annual report with changes we've discussed today. And then that will be submitted after the meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the annual report with the changes?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, do we have a second? So Mary
Second.
and a second from, I think I saw Brian. Sorry, Brian. Okay, and Brandy, I forget, I think we need to do a roll call since we're virtual. Okay, I'll let you call the roll then.
Okay. John Capps. Craig
Yes.
Iyer,
Yes.
Eric Carr,
Yes.
Glenn Davis,
Yes.
Ronnie Smith,
Yes.
Tom DePonte,
Yes,
Jean Grishik,
Yes.
Scott Koppel,
Yes.
Randy Heflin,
Yes.
Tim Stoller,
Yes.
Gary Tepper,
Yes.
that's it.
great. All right, so the motion is approved. We will have Brandy incorporate those changes and we will get that submitted here later this month. Thank you for everyone. So then we have next on the agenda is just to approve the past meeting minutes. I actually think, Brandy, if we go back, one question I had, and I don't know if Ryan is still on.
I am.
Okay. I think because we did not have a quorum at the last meeting,
Yep.
we provided some updates for the meeting minutes from the Q2 meeting, but we did not vote to approve those minutes. So I actually think we need to approve both the Q2 minutes, and then we'll take comments on the Q3 minutes and approval. So the Q2 minutes were, I don't think there were any major changes. Ryan, if you can remember, I think there was a couple spelling issues, but
Yeah.
if I can entertain a motion to approve the Q2 minutes.
So moved, Tom. This is
Okay,
Gene.
that's Gene.
Yeah.
And a second?
Second.
I think I saw John Capps. Great. And we'll do the roll call again. Brandy, sorry we have to do this twice or 3 times.
Okay, we'll go through it 3 times. So this is for approval of the Q2 minutes.
Correct.
John Capps, wait,
Yes.
I'm gonna skip, sorry, John, I realized you were the second on that. Eric Carr,
Yes.
Glenn Davis,
Yes.
Ronnie Smith,
Yes.
Tom DePonte,
Yes.
Scott Koppel,
Yes.
Mary Newmar,
Sorry,
Mary,
yes, yes, sorry, I had my mute on.
Randy Heflin,
Yes.
Tim Stoller.
Brandy, I'll abstain. I was absent from that meeting.
Okay, thank you for that.
Uh-huh.
Gary Tepper,
Yes.
Ryan Bella,
Yes.
I think that's it.
Great, thank you. And So now we'll move on to the Q3 minutes. I didn't see anything that needed to be changed, but did anybody have any comments on the Q3 minutes? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the third quarter minutes?
So moved.
Was that John?
Yes.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second.
And that was Ronnie Smith.
Thank you. Eric Carr.
Yeah, abstain. I was not at that meeting.
Okay, thank you for that. Glenn Davis.
Yes.
Tom DePonte.
Yes.
Jean Greshek.
Yeah, I'll abstain as well. I was not present.
Thank you for that. Scott Koppel.
Yes.
Mary Newmar.
Yes.
Randy Heflin.
Yes.
Tim Stoller.
Abstain again, thanks.
Oh, sorry about that. Gary Tupper.
Yes.
And Brian Butler.
Yes.
Hey, great.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is our opportunity for any news or member updates. Eric, I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but I guess how is the RFP process going for you all would be one
Sure.
question.
Yeah, the RFP is going well. We extended the technology selection to the first quarter just because we had so much interest and activity. There's some vendors asked over 100 questions, others asked a few. So I think it's going very well, and we are processing through that. I think in the January, February timeframe, we'll be in a position to make a technology selection based on the information that we have, and we definitely have good interest in that.
Fantastic. That's
Yeah,
great.
going really well.
It's great. The only other kind of news items, I mean, there's thankfully a lot of good news along the nuclear energy front and at the policy level, but there's kind of two things I think everyone's probably seen that Constellation has announced they plan to restart the TMI reactor and rename that site as the Crane Clean Energy Center after their former CEO, the late Chris Crane. That is an agreement that is basically been hatched between Constellation and Microsoft, where Microsoft will be buying the output of that plant for the next 20 years to power some of their data center needs. The other item along the same lines is Holtec has finalized their loan guarantee with the Department of Energy for $1.5 billion to restart the Palisades plant in Michigan. So that will be two units coming online and projected in the next 4 years, which is great for additional generation. And then the only thing is on the Framatome side, we have a new CEO. He's familiar, I think, to a lot of folks in the industry, but Tony Robinson is now CEO of Framatome Inc., based in Lynchburg. And I'll turn it over if there's any other member updates or other news that I missed. Okay. Well, with that, I think it is time for opening up to public comment. If anyone would like to make comment, could you please use the raised hand button so we know who would like to make a comment? And then if you could just identify yourself before you make that comment. So any public comments? Hey, I'm not seeing any. So with that, unless there's any other questions or comments, like I said, this is scheduled to be our final meeting of the year. If we need to come back together, we will send out a note, but I anticipate our first meeting for 2025, we will have that early in the year as the legislative session gets kicked off. But any further comments for the good of the order? Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and please be on the lookout for the draft of the strategic plan and provide those comments back to April. Probably good to copy Brandy on those as well, just so they get cycled through. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.